What is going on, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. I am super excited to be here. A lot of topics today, so we're gonna definitely get to that. If you're new here, normally I either do like game commentary or talking about the game industry, and I try to bring my lens from like working on the business side of gaming, as well as just in business in general, to the conversation. So it's a little bit more nuanced. It's not really only about feelings, even though there's some feelings here and there. Or I like to do interviews with game content creators. And like the last 2 weeks, we did that. Super, super appreciative to both Duck as well as Extra Life Game Reviews. Both of them are amazing. And so I left the end of September open to I left it open just because I kind of got some information, maybe not the best, but I was hoping Switch 2 was going to be announced this week. And it looks like it may actually be announced later in October. So I'm not, I already have some interviews lined up for then. But yeah, so that's where we are right now. Hey, Vance Spates, you're not really new. So if y'all did not know Vance Spates, please welcome him. They're coming from the XDefiant community. Yeah, y'all know I've been playing a ton of XDefiant, and we're going to be actually talking a little bit about XDefiant because I think it fits really well into one of the segments. So it'll be coming in a little bit later, Van Spates, but hopefully just sit around. Joe, what's going on, Joe? I was just thinking about you. If y'all did not know, it's just Joe, our local game developer, putting out his game out there. Crow, tons of knowledge with Crow. Ambi, how are you doing? And Rouster, how are you? Thank you all so much for coming by. And as I said before, I'm going to probably do some more game commentary, and then I'm going to open up the lines as I always do. Anybody wants to come in and talk about just about anything. But before I get that, and I did not think I was going to need to do this or address this. 10 days, Jeff. We do have your show. Jeff, are we doing you next week? We'll talk about that. Wishbone 9K, how are you, Wishbone? Wishbone's from our Fall Guy streams. Hey, Wishbone. So with that said, I just want to get something out from the beginning. Because I didn't think I was going to have to do that. I didn't think I was going to have to do this. But it came to my attention that a former person in our chats and our streams in the community, was kind of threatening and harassing people. And so, and I think I can say their name because I don't intend. I want this to be very much. You're probably never going to see me this serious. So if you want Happy Purple, come back in 2 to 3 minutes. But I'm basically what I saw, I didn't appreciate, especially when it's harassing people in the community. So many of you all I consider really great people. You've come on the show, you've been in the chats, you supported me. So when I see people like going after someone like you all, really great people, like I get kind of defensive, right? And in this case, Justin did this. So I actually asked because I blocked Justin a while ago, and once I block you or I expel you from my chat, I don't really put any mind to this. And so what I did is I asked one of my analysts to go pull up their name. I actually forgot their name, and they did. And so what I saw was pretty troubling, right? And just a little background on this: Justin is someone who's tried to get my attention in chat, DM me on Discord, on Twitter, on Xbox. And it's someone that's like that's not what I'm here for. I try to be nice to them. I try to be professional as much as possible. But they kept doing this to the point where I think there's like over 100 or 200 messages on Twitter targeting just different members in the community, targeting me. But it comes with the territory in a way. But to just be very clear, Justin, I think you're sick, and I don't say that lightly. Like, I think you're actually troubled. Obviously, you've tried the same tactic over and over, trying to get a different result, but you get the same result. And so, what we generally call that is insanity. Most people would tell you that. Uh, Additional to that, what I would say is, on top of being sick, you're making just dumb decisions, right? And so, what usually happens to people who are like crazy and dumb is like one of three things. And I'm going to outline that to you because I don't care what your background is. I don't know what it is, but I want to tell you like what one of these three things are going to happen to you unless you start to take care of yourself, right? On one end, doing crazy dumb stuff, you're going to die early. That's just true. Like if we all of a sudden heard a news story about a New York City man who killed themselves while trying to get off with a blowtorch and their name was Justin Stout, I can promise you everybody in the community would be like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." Like that's where you are, right? And that's like actually like probably the nicest thing that could happen to you, right? Next thing is like people who do dumb crazy things who are also like mentally sick, like like you clearly are. You end up going to like a mental hospital, right? And I don't know if you've ever been on that floor, but they usually have where the mental patients are. It's the same place where the drug addicts are. They usually put them on the same floor, but they're on separate ends. And like if it came out that like you're the type of person who's at the mental hospital and you like write your name on the wall with feces and you misspell it, and it was like, "Yep, that's Justin," the entire community would be like, "Yep, that sounds about right." Like that's where you are. And after seeing like the messages, and this was coming from like people who don't normally talk to people. These are like people from like a Fall Guys stream, from like Shades of Purple, from someone who's not in my community. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know this was going on. But the thing about it is people who do dumb, crazy things a lot of times, unfortunately, who are mentally ill, end up locked up. And that's kind of like again, one of three things. You're either gonna die, you're either gonna be in a mental institution, probably where you belong, or you're gonna end up locked up. And despite the fact that, you tell us whatever it is, you're an artist or that you're karate or whatever the name, you clearly don't have a job. No one who has a job, who has any responsibility, has as much time as you. No one who's truly an artist does clip art. Putting your head on like, I don't know, uh, comic book characters, I guess is what they are. That maybe in some like backwards world after school program, you're told you're an artist, but that's not what adults do. Okay. Like saying that you're like a middle school assistant archery instructor. Like think about that. There's no such thing as a assistant middle school archery instructor. Doesn't exist. Definitely not in New York. You're just clearly looking for attention. You're clearly delusional. These are all symptoms of something. And so what I would say is that like those people who end up going to jail, they become a target. Like in the military, the same thing kind of happens. Like when you see someone who lies, who looks for attention, who's clearly out of their league, clearly delusional or just trying to puff themselves up, usually we spot it and we haze them. That's who makes the perfect target. In prison, you don't get hazed, right? In prison, when you become a target, you become someone's punk, right? And based upon how many messages you did, how much attention you actually want, like it's clear, like the Village Bicycle would be called Justin Stout. Whether that's voluntarily or not, I don't know which one's for you. But that's where you are. So when you do crazy, dumb, punkish things, you're going to get crazy, dumb, punkish results. Like I know you're still like in the mindset of a kid. I know you're probably sick and you've been told this before and you're off your medicines. But let me tell you, as someone who is an adult, and unfortunately someone who society is an adult, but obviously is not an adult, please get offline, get off social media, touch some grass, talk to someone who cares about you. Because let me tell you, if you were just to disappear, unfortunately, most people would see that as a positive. And I hate to say it like that, but it's just the thing. All right, y'all. I'm not going to go too much further into that. I just had to say that just because I don't like to see when people get picked on, especially in the community. And that's all I'm going to say on that. All right. Next, we're going to talk about a couple of different things. About man, I gotta get back into my purple, my purple flow. We're gonna talk about a few things, And what I do want to talk about are failures, gaming failures currently, because there's a bunch of them. And y'all know I don't like to dabble in console wars, but I do like to call out dumb decisions in the gaming industry. And I think we have some winners here, right? Y'all know I am very critical of corporate culture in the gaming world. And I think you've seen two of the largest players in Microsoft and Sony with their gaming divisions, PlayStation, Xbox, make some relatively Van Spades, I will protect you too. Uh, you know, make some very questionable calls, and you see how they're pivoting, how their strategies are pivoting. Let me get some music going on. Uh, Here, let me. There we go. And so there we go. We can kind of see this. And so what I'm going to be talking today is both content as well as overall the Xbox position in this gamble on content. And so, what I want to talk about with Concord, and this is where XDefiant comes in, right? So, if y'all don't know, XDefiant's a free to play game, it's a live service game. All right. Concord, live service game, but it was you had to pay for it. All right. So, it didn't really follow the free to play model. You had to pay for it. And if you recall, like about 3 or 4 years ago, Sony made this move to live service where they said, like, hey, half of their titles were going to be live service. At the time, many people, I'm not going to say I didn't even have a channel, but many people who are on top of this said it was a bad move. Sony is a brand that's really built on single player games. Obviously, they have a great third party ecosystem, but people get a PlayStation because that single player experience. Concord kind of tried to blend a couple of these things together. Now, obviously, if you don't know, Concord was a live service game from Sony that launched at the beginning of September and then shut down about 6 days later. Considered one of the most spectacular failures for PlayStation in recent memory. But the writing was on the wall for this, right? If you don't recall, back in 2015, I want to say, Overwatch won Game of the Year. At that time, many people loved the idea of how the mobile gaming industry was able to generate tons and tons of returns. A lot of people were really excited, hoping that this could happen in AAAs. And when I say a lot of people, I mean like a lot of C-suite executives at gaming companies. Flash forward. What we see is there's a few live service games that actually can survive. And there's a reason for that. Concord was like a new entrant to this. Besides the fact that you had to pay for Concord, which obviously free to play versus not paying, there's an issue there, but you can still survive. What we're starting to find out in the games industry is that there's only so much room for live service games, meaning it's a zero-sum game. If I'm going to play, like the people who play free to play, if they're playing one game, that means they're not playing another game. So eventually you start segmenting the market to a point that no other games can really survive. Unless you are something that really stands out. So what are the games that stand out right now? Well, you got Call of Duty, Warzone. You have obviously the big ones, right? Fortnite. You have a couple of others. Like I'm losing my my train of thought right now. But you know which ones those are. You know, like, hey, these are the incumbents. These are the ones with a loyal fan base. So in order to really stick out, you have to, like, who is this game for? I personally feel like Sony already knew this within the last year that Concord was going to fail. Again, a lot of people are like, but why would they launch it? The reason why they would launch it, right? The reason why I think this is anytime you get a marketing budget or a lack of a marketing budget, it's not the developer's decision, right? The marketing team is usually another team. And if they're not getting the money to actually advertise something, that usually means senior management has already said that this is going to be a failure. The fact that it was able to shut down within days, again, tells me that they knew that they were going to shut this down probably before they launched. This is kind of my theory around Stadia. Y'all know I love my Stadia. But unfortunately, I believe they already had pulled this plug on Stadia before Stadia even launched. It's just how it goes. A few decision makers know what's going to happen, the rest of the team doesn't. And there's always like this kind of confusion, like why are we getting the support? Why are we getting the resources? If that's happening to you at your job, if you're finding out you're not being told something, let me tell you, something's about to change. Unfortunately, I think Concord fell onto this into this trap, and it shut down. Now, I already told you, live service games really hard to do, especially in the AAA space. And most of the time, actually the vast majority of the time, a new live service entrant is going to fail. That's the nature. Unfortunately, that's where we are. But Purple, you play XDefiant. Yes, I do. So let me tell you why I think XDefiant is an exception to the rule. Because you need exceptions to the rule. You need to have things like, why would something succeed now? It can't be impossible, but why would it succeed? And they really have to do with the fact of, who is this game for? That's the thing. Who was Concord for? You're going up against Overwatch. You're going up against a couple of other titles that are in that same kind of cartoony, arcadey shooter. Concord was going to have a hard time. Not an established IP. Nothing to pull from. Not a previous fan base. What's XDefiant? First-person shooter. Right? Also kind of arcadey, not cartoony, more in the more realistic side of things, but still has some hero shooter elements in it. So a lot of people would say, well, that's Call of Duty space. So I want to bring that up. Call of Duty is in the space. XDefiant is trying to become in the space. So why would XDefiant survive? And here is where I don't think this was done on purpose by Ubisoft, by the way, but I think they have lucked themselves into a loop of some sort of success. You see, many of the XDefiant community are people who are dissatisfied with Call of Duty. Call of Duty has a long lineage, and it's no secret that people really, really like the old Call of Duties. So much so that when we see the new Call of Duties get launched, there's an immediate backlash, like this hate spending, this hate playing by players. They love to hate to play it. So, who is XDefiant for? It's an alternative to COD. So as long as Call of Duty continues to do what Call of Duty is going to do, XDefiant will potentially have a player base. But there's more to this, right? It has to go with that idea of what is a live service game and what is kind of the model that is the most successful for live service games. Most successful is very subjective. But in general, to have a fighting chance with a new service, you have to have something that's free. What's XDefiant? Free. What's Call of Duty? You have to pay for it. If you're getting a similar experience from both, and you're dissatisfied with one, or you feel like they're neutral, guess which one you're going to go to? Free. It is what it is. But that's not all. What is one of the things Concord lacked? IP. It wasn't established. What is one thing XDefiant has? If you have not noticed, what Ubisoft has tried to do with XDefiant is similar to what Nintendo did with Smash Brothers. They've taken IP from all their other original titles and they all put them in this like giant like shooter of a first-person shooter. So you have like Rainbow Six Siege, you have Assassin's Creed, you have Far Cry, you have a lot of the other Tom Clancy, you have The Division. You have a lot there, right? And they just put it all together. So at least there's some similarity. There's some fan base built up. So when you put all that together, when you say like, well, Call of Duty is going to be like Call of Duty, because Microsoft didn't buy that to change it. So Call of Duty is going to be Call of Duty. So there's going to be consistently some type of player base there. You consider that it's going to have established IP. You consider that it's free. And you consider that it actually is someone that has an addicting game loop. Even the people who complain will say it has an addicting game loop. You have potentially the ingredients of what will ultimately be most likely a successful first party or a successful live service game. So that's why I wanted to bring up, like, we're PlayStation failed in the live service market, and we're potentially in XDefiant will succeed. Obviously, I say potentially because we can't tell the future, but in my mind, the ingredients are there. And actual life reviews, what? Let's go. I see ya. You lost me, Purple. No, well, just come back to YouTube. I'm right here. Did you name Assassin's Creed as a shooter? It is in there. Severin, it's in there. Assassin's Creed is most likely going to be the faction they introduced to XDefiant in the 3rd season. Some of my XDefiant people let me know, but that is the rumor. It is what it is. It's like they just make it work. I don't know. Don't ask me how. It's a fun. Diablo is good. Roster, Diablo gets you addicted. Sometimes I think Diablo gets you addicted a lot of the time. But that's where I think Sony ultimately failed, right? They didn't and someone was gonna fail. I think a lot of people failed. Ubisoft failed in the live service games. If y'all don't remember, like Ubisoft had this game that was like skating. It was like rollerblade. Or not rollerblade, roller ring. What is the thing where they go in a ring? It's like they roller skate in a ring and they have to score buckets. Like Ubisoft made a live service game like this, and they kept it going for about a year before they just killed it. Van Spades, that's tough. I don't play it that much. I play it probably 1 or 2 hours a day on average. So that means mostly heavily on the weekend, not so much. So when we think about how a game succeeds, we have to obviously think about who are they trying to sell it to. And I think what I'm ultimately saying is Concord never had a market. The market that they're going to is very saturated, and to stick out in a very saturated market, you have to have some very unique things going in your favor. I think XDefiant has enough of that, and primarily because one of its main pieces of competition is a pay, not a free, a paid game, that there's a significant portion of that community that's looking for an alternative. And they potentially have found it with XDefiant. That, I guess, is what I'm summing up. Roller Champions was the UB game. Yes, Joe. Roller Champions. It was, I think, like, their highest concurrent player count was like 22. It was like crazy. Like, so Ubisoft has its own issues with live service. And who knows, maybe that game was just a precursor to XDefiant. I don't know. I'm not going to hypothesize on that. But I will say, like I said before, I think in a weird way, Ubisoft has figured out how to make their live service game at least succeed. All COD DLCs still come with map packs. All COD DLCs still come with map packs. Okay. I don't know. I don't play. I know I tried to play Call of Duty and I couldn't play it. I don't play first person shooters. I don't play it. It wasn't for me. It's too slow. I didn't like it. I don't know. I'm not going to say it's bad. Obviously, people buy it. But I will say what I've seen. And happy birthday to the twins. All right, so let's talk about Xbox. There's a lot of things to talk about with Xbox, obviously. But one thing I think that we're starting to see, and shout out to Marcus G. Knight, a.k.a. Internet of Games. You know, he did a little bit of research. He sent a video link from Forbes talking about the gaming industry, particularly about Xbox and how Xbox is making a relatively big gamble. So if you haven't noticed, Xbox has been buying a lot of IP. Xbox has been kind of moving away from the consoles. If you ask me, this is their last generation of console as we know it, but I get it. That's a very, very, I don't know, treasonous thing to say, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll explain a little bit more here in a second. But when it comes to Xbox, they're making a huge gamble that the next move in gaming is going to be is subscription services, essentially. Which is, you can kind of see why they make that gamble, right? We know that they've been pumping up Game Pass. We know they've been talking about their cloud capabilities. Play their games wherever you want to play them. You don't need an Xbox console. You can put they're putting their IP everywhere. But this is a huge gamble in itself. It's no surprise that Xbox has been missing its subscriber count. But that's not actually where I think the biggest concern is when it comes to Xbox. what I think the biggest concern it is when it comes to Xbox is that people it's kind of similar to live service games. You want to turn people who are players into payers, meaning people are more willing to pay for something the more they use it. Obviously, that's not always the case. There's some people who will always be on the free tier of whatever it is, and they will continue to go. There's some people who will hardly play anything and will buy everything, right? We know this exists. But in general, you want to see more people eventually pay for things because they use it. And so traditionally, we've used game metrics like how much has a game sold, the number of copies something sold, to define the success of a game. And that's still relatively the case, right? Black Myth Wukong sold 20 million copies, like the very successful game, right? However, in this new world, when we talk about subscription models, so when we talk about Netflix, we talk about Game Pass, we talk about Amazon Prime, we talk about things that you're more likely to continue to pay it to look the other way for a price increase the more you use it. YouTube Prime, or is it YouTube Prime? YouTube Premium. And so at gaming, it's a really interesting value proposition because it's not necessarily the game you could get, even though that is considered part of it, but it's how long you use the service. And this is where I say, I think Xbox's strategy, if you're me, you think Xbox is actually in a very difficult situation, even though they have a lot of money with Microsoft. That's Microsoft. That's not Xbox. In the most recent example of this, and y'all know I love to pick on this game because I just think it was like a disappointment, even though it was easy to, it just was. Hellblade 2. So y'all know I beat Hellblade 2. It took me about 6 hours and 47 minutes. I know that because that's the time it says. And short game. And it wasn't so much a short game why I'm making my hypothesis. Why I'm making my hypothesis is the first 47 minutes of that game, and hold me to this, y'all. The first 47 minutes of the game, you're just pushing up. So you would assume, like, despite the players, as long as there's people who are actually going through the game and beating it, it's successful, right? That's what we need. That's what we need subscriptions to do. They need to capture your attention. That's what we need the first party games of a subscription service to do. It's like if you have Netflix and everybody is not watching Netflix, like even the people who click on something and they're not able to stay there and binge it, like Netflix is chill. It's called that because people binge shows. They stayed and watched the show. They stayed and watched the season. So in gaming, you kind of need the same thing. To my surprise, only 50% of players on Hellblade 2 actually beat the first chapter. Hold me to it. For anybody who's played Hellblade 2, you have Game Pass, you can look at the achievement yourself. Please go check that. Right? Because I looked at that. That was extremely alarming to me. And I compare that to something like an XDefiant, where you have people literally like Van Spates here talking about how they're playing hours and hours. You have a game like Black Myth Wukong, which, you know, I told y'all I beat that last week. In which just to get to literally the first like main mini boss, you have to beat like 2 other bosses. Enough people can talk about it. I mean, I watched Chariot Man fight a boss for 5 hours on Monday. Shout out to Chariot Man Kami. Just to get to that, you had to have spent multiple hours, most likely, going through the game. So what is it about a game, some of these games that people are willing to play longer, and some of these games that they're not? And this is why I think ultimately Microsoft's strategy, at least with Game Pass, now don't get me wrong, them buying King, them buying Call of Duty, them already having Diablo, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, I think they're good. Okay, I'm not saying that is good. What I am saying is I think the lean in on Game Pass and having this as like a service where people are going to buy it and that's the future of games, I think that is misguided. Because what we see is the games that people are really liking to play a lot of times are older titles or free to play games or games that people are willing to like wait for a sale on. Now there are some people, Rousters included. And yeah, no, Rouster, he did. Rouster, he spent 5 hours on that game. But Rouster is someone who's perfect for Game Pass, right? Rouster has a bigger family, a lot of people game in it. And I think it's a huge value. With that said, that's longer than all Hellblade 2. Not quite extra long, but it's close. Y'all can go look at it. Go look at Cherry Man's last video and tell me. I was in the chat for 4 hours of that video. But yeah. If you have certain circumstances, Game Pass is amazing. But even then, you're going to have to say, like, some of the games, especially as Game Pass continues to raise prices, at what point do you start to say, the games I want to play are either older titles that I can get for cheaper, or they're free-to-play games that I automatically don't need a online account for. I already get it. I think this is the problem that Microsoft is going to find. They've bought a lot of IP, and I know that they're making this push, and I know they're saying like, hey, we're making these AA games, or hey, I know we're doing it. I just don't think it's going to be that great, right? I think Hellblade, depending on who you ask, I just told you why I think Hellblade's not that great of a game. But some people would say it wasn't supposed to be a game. It was supposed to be a tech demo. The way I know it was supposed to be a tech demo is why don't you go look at a preview, a game launch of like a game. XDefiant just did one for season 2, Zelda, Black Myth Wukong, Space Marine shooting game from THQ Nordic. Go look at those launches, like when they talk about the game, and then look at Hellblade 2. And this is what I mean. You're most likely are going to have like some woman who sounds like she's on AI. It maybe even be an AI chick. And she's going to talk about like how you can shoot. She's going to talk about the weapons. She's going to talk about the background. She's going to talk about multiplayer. She's going to talk about the story. They're going to talk everything that's like about the game that you're going to see. You know, and it's corny. They're like, and look at this shooter. And they're going to continue like, it's corny, but it's stuff that we get excited about if we're excited about the game. That's just how it goes. And it makes sense. You're launching a game. That's what they should talk about. Go look at Hellblade. Go look at what they talked about when they launched the game. Spoiler alert. When they don't talk about Senua's blade. They don't talk about the background. They don't talk about Senua's story. You know what they always talked about? They always showed the same scene. They show the voice actress with all these balls on her, like little white balls in this studio. And then they would show her doing a movement. And then they would show how that movement shows up on the computer. And then they would show how that movement shows up on the computer, shows up in the game. What does that look like? That's a tech demo. Instead of talking about the background, they didn't talk about that. They talked about how they took all these photos, they put them together with the processing power, and they then were able to like make it into a scenery, and it looks like Iceland. And they were able to do this because they had XYZ going for them. That's not a game. That's a tech demo. It is okay. Just call it a tech demo. Unfortunately, I find that, and it's no one at Xbox's fault. I want y'all to know that. I think the people at Xbox are trying super, super hard. Have you ever been at a company and you're like, we're not getting any direction, but we're being told we need to succeed. And no matter what we do, it's never good enough. Have you ever been in that situation? I think that's Xbox. Like you have a bunch of people with a bunch of ideas, but unfortunately you have a corporate company that's not super creative and they're dictating the shots over there. This is why I think Indiana Jones, like I know some people in chat love Indiana Jones. Just like I love Ghostbusters, but don't get it twisted. I do not think the newest Ghostbusters game is going to be like a AAA game, right? I don't think that the VR Ghostbuster games are really great. I love it though, and I bought it, and I hope you love the new Indiana Jones and you play through it and you see the story. But ultimately, the game doesn't look great, like great gameplay, right? What do we see? We see the same thing. We see the dude with the balls who's voicing Indy doing the same thing that we saw Sinnoh doing. We don't really, like, they kind of gave us some stories and then they told us it's going on PlayStation. Like, that's Indiana Jones. Diablo? Now that, if you want to see a game that tells about the game, go look at the Diablo trailer that just launched last week. That one, that's how you do a game. I don't know. Like I said, I think Microsoft has made a huge gamble. And unfortunately, I don't think right now they're seeing the results. Only time shall see. Again, because it's by Machine Games. Might be good. It's kind of, but Extra Life, you already know. I love what studio just let me down? Supermassive. I love Supermassive, but they did this Dead by Daylight crossover that I cannot. It's getting good, but it's taken 3 hours to get there. And Supermassive games usually can get there in like an hour. And so it's like, it's like trying to get someone up and it's taking them too long. It's like, I don't know, just take the pill. You know what I mean? But the trailers, yeah, Diablo obviously has amazing trailers. Like, I think they always have a great stuff. Like I said, I think that's why I said don't worry about them. They have Diablo, World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, Candy Crush, Overwatch. Like that's their stable, right? But yeah, that's why I think, like, at the end of the day, Microsoft, obviously their strategy and subscription services, I don't know. I think this move away from console, like I said, I cannot understand why would they make another console is what I ask. I just don't see it. They're not selling. People say make a more, Sony just released a PS5 Pro, I think, or PS5 Pro, right? I lose the number, what number they're on. And I can at least say, okay, it's giving you better graphics, especially if you only had a PS4. Like, this is a reason to upgrade. Like, I can understand it. Despite what some of the PC people, suffering you included, I don't think you can build a PC better than a PS5 Pro for that price. Like, I don't. Unless you get like some discounted pricing and like you already kind of know what you need to do, but I don't think it's possible. I'm not saying you need to go out and buy a PS5 Pro, but I just don't think, I think it's worth it. I think if you get too much higher than that, you start getting to $1,000, $1,200 range, then you start to say, like, I should just go get a PC or something else. I mean, Microsoft's tried to go lower and undercut the competition. I think the Series S is actually probably the best value in gaming. Is it your new favorite game, Vance Fights? What? I know, it's a good game. I have 200, I think I showed y'all 278 hours in it. I think I showed y'all. They still have a console. No, they are. No. I'm not saying they canceled their console. I didn't say that. But they definitely have de-emphasized it, right? I don't think they're putting nearly as much R&D into it as the other console makers. I think if you look at their mid-gen refresh, like, everybody's like holding out hope that they're gonna have like a Xbox Pro or something. And I'm here to tell you that the newest Xboxes are what you saw. It's like the Series S but black. It holds 2 terabytes, and the Series X but white. It holds, one holds 1 or 1, I forget, but it's just increased storage in a different color. That's their mid-gen refresh. Make no doubt about it. There is no like, we're going to 500 teraflops or whatever. That's not happening. And we haven't seen any type of chip maker talk about any huge order, right? Like, at least with the PlayStation 6, we know AMD beat Intel for that contract. When you're having like massive contracts like that, where you're like, yo, we have a customer who's buying 20 to 30 million chips, that customer then can dictate the chip design. We haven't heard that. Most likely it would be AMD, but we haven't heard that. We knew Nintendo already had the screens and everything several years before. Same thing with consoles. Hey, Judge, what is going on here? It's 250 with free control, and then bought a Series X off my coworker. Look at you, roster. Drug deals. Jack of all trades. What's going on, Jack? You missed our XDefiant talk. You know? But yeah. I don't know. But if y'all just want to hear why I thought XDefiant, to just summarize it, I think XDefiant's going to succeed for the same reason Destiny succeeded. Oh, yeah. I didn't even mention Destiny, right? You're like, Purple, where are you going for this? If we go back to the original first-person sci-fi space shooter, who would we say was kind of the de facto incumbent? The game to beat. Actually, I haven't mentioned this game, even though we're talking about the company. Sounds a lot like Halo, right? And what did we see like right around Halo 2 or 3, right? Right around that. That's kind of like the top. And then all of a sudden, what did Halo do? Master Chief Collection, a couple others. We saw that community say like, we want more. We want something different. Innovate. Do something. What did Halo do? They didn't create bad games. They just created kind of the same experience. So now you have a player base who's like, I like sci-fi shooters, but I don't like this experience. So right around this time, I'm not going to say cause and effect, causality. I'm going to say correlation. Right around this time, there's a correlation. Right as like Halo kind of like does this little thing where it's like, not hitting the spot, we see Destiny come up. Just so happens to be from the same people, Bungie. And guess what? Destiny eventually usurps Halo as the definitive sci-fi shooter. Now, I'm not saying people don't go play Halo. People are going to be like, bro, I just played Halo Infinite. I get it. But I can guarantee you if Sony could take back their Bungie purchase, they probably wouldn't buy Halo. They probably would just buy Bungie for cheaper. Right? Why? Because people would say Destiny 2 was better. I think the same thing in a weird way is what's going on with Call of Duty and XDefiant. I think Call of Duty created a player base. A lot of people like it. A lot of people think it's boring. Same people looking for an alternative. And I think that is where XDefiant fits. Like I said, in order for a live service game to make it right now, it's going to have some very unique value propositions. And in this case, that's what XDefiant has. It's I don't think Ubisoft planned it, just like I don't think Bungie planned it. It just, there's a need in the market, and they satisfied it. Subscription services and gaming, I don't know if there's a need in the market, right? I think especially now where people play older games a lot longer, people know their experiences. I would be interested in Joe. Joe, what do you think? You're a game developer. Joe, what do you think about this? You're someone who's creating something, and when you think about the gaming model you have, like what are you thinking through? If y'all did not know, Joe, it's just Joe in the chat, game developer about to launch his game, I think in the next year. But yeah, that's how I see it. That's why I think like at the end of the day, I think Xbox has made a huge miscalculation. They spent a lot of money. They'll be okay. I think there's going to be a lot more layoffs going on. Oh, by the way, there were 650 more former Activision employees laid off last week. Not a good news story there. But I think there's going to be more. Actually, I think the next biggest thing you're going to hear from the Xbox team involving layoffs is you're going to hear senior gaming execs at Xbox leaving. No, I'm not talking about Sarah Bond. You may actually hear her. I'm not talking Phil Spencer. I'm talking about like that other layer, like the people that you're like, oh, that's the president of this studio, or that's the creative lead. Like, you're going to start hearing that. Hey, Eternal Shadow, what's going on? Purple, or anyone, can you guess what the world's largest cloud gaming platform is? Define largest cloud gaming platform. Like the largest player base? If it's the largest player base, it would have to be one of the telcos in like in another country. Like it'd have to be some telco in like India. But if you're like saying like the most like the one with the company that's worth the most, GFN. I know it's cheating, but I feel like you have like something up your sleeve here. But yeah, I would have to say like a telco, because that's who actually does cloud gaming in other countries. Yeah, Matt Booty. Cheryl Shadow, you think Matt Booty's out the way? I don't know. Is Matt Booty a game? He's like what? He's like who? The president? I don't know. I've never met him. Xbox Cloud Gaming Crow? Is it? Nah, it can't be. Can't be. There's more people on GFN than Game Pass. It's not Stadia, I'll tell you that much. Gosh, miss it. Still miss it. Most active monthly users. I don't think Matt Booty would be either. Oh, this is a good question. Yo, who would this be? Who would this? The largest? AT&T? No. No, it can't be Netflix. Largest cloud define cloud gaming. Are we talking like you're talking like a game, or are you talking a service? Matt is the head of Xbox Game Studios. No, I don't think he would leave. I think it's some of these newer people are gonna leave. Some of these new studio heads that got bought out. I think they're the ones that leave. Usually they leave because it's not going the direction that they see. That's my vision, is that I don't think the people who signed up and said this was a great deal are going to start saying this is no longer a great deal. It's like corporate. It's too corporate for them. Give me your Discord so I can post a PC part picker link for you. Why do you need to post it in chat? Someone will copy it. I'll find it eventually. It's Roblox, which is 10 times bigger than GFN with 300. I knew you were going to give me something. I knew you were going to say something like that. That's why I said, is it like a which I guess Roblox is a platform, which by the way, y'all know what is the most popular toy brand on Roblox? This is a true story. Okay, like now that we're talking about Roblox, you want to know what the most popular toy brand is on Roblox? Bonus points to the first person who gets it. Do not look it up. Do not look it up. I know everybody's poking holes in Marcus's in his trivia question. You didn't think through that one, did you, Marcus? This group is not going to be wrong. But yeah, largest toy brand in Roblox. This is why I think kind of people who talk about like console war stuff or like stuff like we've missed it. Like I don't even play Roblox, but that thing is like it's out there. Roblox is however built on NVIDIA stack. So I was right. Replace the word dot with an actual. You can't post links in. Should probably this. Oh, we'll just type it out. I don't know. Severin, you have my Discord. Who needs Roblox when you have Turbo Man action figures and a Stretch Armstrong? Whoa. Stretch Armstrong. You don't have a Stretch Armstrong, Mr. Urban World. You do not. If you have a Stretch Armstrong still in the box, that has to be so much. That has to be worth a ton. A Stretch Armstrong? And his dog, right? Stretch had the dog? Man, I'm trying to think about all those toys like when I would babysit. It's a long time ago. Lego? Lego's close. Good job, Van Spates. Lego is close, but not nearly as big. I'll give you a hint. Because when I say it, y'all are going to be like, oh, that's it. Something Crow should get. It's actually Roblox. It's actually when I say it, y'all are going to be like, what the heck? And then it's going to make sense. It's way bigger than most people think, which is odd because I installed it once when I was 11, played it for half an hour, and immediately... Extra Life Reviews? How is that possible? Roblox was around like when you were 11? Maybe. Where have I been? Probably not very stretchy anymore. That's what I was thinking, Crow. That's why I said if anybody still had it, I was like, it would be all like... icky. Right? So the question, Crow, is what is the most popular toy brand in Roblox? Yeah, y'all thought like advertising's not happening in games? Fortnite and Roblox said hold my beer. 700 PC build all our brand new parts. For one, Severin, you're not going to convince me that there's a GPU on the. You would have to go higher than the GPU they have. That's the reason why. There's nothing you're going to get on wholesale that PlayStation is not going to get that's custom built. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that just doesn't. Let's be serious here. It's like you trying to tell me the only one you could probably convince me of is Nintendo, because we know Nintendo sells it at a premium, and we know Nintendo gets it at a very low thing. But I'm curious if you could find a PC that runs Ori as well as the Switch. Really curious. I don't know if you can find a PC at $300 that can run Ori like that. The Squid Games. All right, I'll tell y'all. Five Nights at Freddy's toys. No. The largest toy brand on Roblox from Mattel, the Queen, Barbie. It's not even close. Barbie is like 50% of the toy advertisement on Roblox. Then in there you also have like Marvel. It's interesting, they separate Marvel and the Avengers. They separate Marvel, the Avengers, and Spider-Man. Those are all kind of considered differently. Lego, great call out, Van Spates. Lego is up there. I would have to go look at the. I was just reading this the other day, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. And so it's really like, I'm curious what gaming's gonna look like when you have this whole like kid group who's like used to seeing advertising in their game. I don't know. I don't know. Girl, I'm right there with you. I watched 2 different videos to tell me what is Roblox about. And I need to watch a third. I just don't get it. I get it. It's like, what is the game I hated on Stadia? Oh my goodness, what is that game? I couldn't stand it. It's the game where people built their own games and then we would play the game. Oh, I hated that game. That's what Roblox is like. Crata. My goodness, I can't even say that game without getting like triggered. Crata is a horrible game. Like, that is Roblox. People build a game that's like these stick figures, and they have like obstacle course. They have like names for obstacle courses. They call it like Opsies. Where's Fast? Fast would know this. Fast or Isabella. The champions of our Fall Guys tournaments, who are like 12 and 13. PS5 Pro for $699 is too much in my opinion. You know what? If you already have a PS5, don't get it. I think the PS5 Pro is aimed at 3 consumers. One consumer is people who are PlayStation fanatics. One consumer is people who have not updated from the PS4/PS4 Pro. And the third consumer is someone who currently does not have a PlayStation but wants to play Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 will sell consoles. It is the rare phenomenon where you're going to have people who currently do not have a current gen console going out to buy a console. I don't play Grand Theft Auto, but that's what the industry is saying. And that's who it's aimed for. That's why they released it now. When the PS6 releases, what are you saying? You'll likely be upgrading in 3 or 4 years anyway. Yeah, I think actually for PC upgrades, like one thing that doesn't get talked about in PC upgrades. So in gaming, like I remember in PC building, and a lot of people like, so the first PC I built was like in 1998, 97. And that's saying we're not talking about like when we had a, like from the 80s. I'm saying like actual, like what we would consider like current components. And the one thing people don't talk about is like GPUs back then. I still remember it. Like the GPU back then was technically, it was about 150 for a really decent GPU, and that was the same price for a processor. Those are like the two most expensive things. Over time, as gaming has went to like graphic fidelity, what have we talked about? We've talked about how it's all about the GPU. It's all about so a lot of new people into PC gaming, they update their GPUs, and so much so that like the GPU market, like it's a universal adapter. It's like you pop it out, you put it in, like that's where it goes. You want to know what has not kept up with the price of inflation as GPUs? CPUs, right? CPUs have went up, but not like GPUs. Like to get a top of the line CPU right now, I don't know. Intel's not doing too well, so we're gonna say between AMD and Intel, to get a top of the line CPU right now is let's call it like $300 to $450 depending on what brand you like. Top of the line GPU, brand new, $1450. And if you think the 5090 is not going to be higher than that, I don't know. But here's the thing. I believe the next generation of gaming, right? We always talk about like the GPU. I think we're getting to the point, and the PlayStation 5 Pro kind of says this, and this is why I also think like Xbox has no reason to upgrade right now, or going forward, is we're seeing that what pushes game sales isn't necessarily the GPU, right? Like we're getting to the point where it's like graphic fidelity between the 4090 and the 5090 is not going to be worth like the $1,600 for a 5090, right? Like back when you were doing like a 1660 to a 2060, right? What is that? Like 120 to 200, like that you can see that. But you're starting to get to the point where like games aren't even pushing that. I think the next evolution in gaming is going to be on the processor side, the CPU side, right? And it makes sense if you think about it. Like when you think about the idea that you're inputting information, if they're saying like AI in the game, right? Whether that's AI on a boss fight, whether that's AI and NPC talk, whether that's just anything where you're inputting and you're getting something very individualized on back to you. What's doing the lifting there? Not the GPU, it's the CPU. And I think the current CPUs are not equipped to do that. So I think like for the next gen of gaming, not the next gen of console, the next gen of gaming, you're gonna have, if you're not in the cloud, right? Maybe this is a whole infomercial for cloud gaming. You know, generation has shrunk a ton. Exactly, Extra Life. But if we think about what they're saying about the PS5 Pro, this is the same argument, right? They're saying the PS5 Pro is lacking in, it's going to be like what? Capped. It's CPU capped because they didn't change it. And that's why I think like the next gen of gaming is going to be more CPU heavy. Sure, they may update the graphics, but I just don't think that's at that level. But if we're really talking about AI stuff, and you're talking about like how Intel right now is like burning out the box, like you really have to down clock that thing just to make it work. You can think about the next generation of CPUs, and yeah, that's where I think that's going to be the next inflation on parts, PC component parts. And if you talk to most PC gamers, I'm going to say most. I'm not going to say all. A lot of PC gamers know what they're doing. A lot of PC gamers don't. There's an entire industry built around people who don't know how to put together their PC. Even some people who know how to put together their PC who still have problems, there's a whole industry built around that. And so the next whole thing where we do have to like upgrade the CPU, which a lot of people have kind of like skipped out on, like they'll be like, oh, you know, they're still rocking like you still see like 9th gen, 10th gen, which are that's not old, right? But it's definitely something they're gonna have to upgrade. So what do you have to upgrade when you upgrade? And I talked about this, I think, on my show. When you upgrade the CPU, AMD doesn't have much fanfare in the GPU market, but their CPUs are selling out. You can mostly, I'm not saying, I'm saying anything now, right? I think that's going to be the next evolution. And that is where you're going to see the price of PC gaming go up astronomically. Because when you have to upgrade the CPU, you have to most likely upgrade what else? Most likely you're going to have to upgrade your power supply potentially, right? Because that thing's pushing. It's not necessarily like we have the efficiencies that we see in GPUs. That's actually going to be getting pretty hot. If it's going to get pretty hot, what else do you need? You need a fan. So if you think the CPUs are going to start to see a elevation in price, you can almost guarantee the entire component of that is going to see like an increase in price. And then I think you're going to see a slowdown on the GPU side. Like I said, I don't think there's like a getting around spending money on this hobby. Like I think some people think they have it figured out, and maybe you do. Maybe you know how to like get around it, but it's not designed for that. Like they're gonna get you unless you do cloud gaming. Like I said, maybe that's the future. I don't know. Is Fall Guys tournaments? I knew Fast. Fast, Fast, do you play Roblox? We had a question for you earlier. PSU, but I buy more power than I need in than I need in my CPU. Yeah, Severin. Don't take this personal, Severin. Like I'm saying, the overall, I don't think you're an average CPU PC gamer. Based upon like the average stats on Steam, if what you've said your PC is built like how you built it, you're not average. So it's not aimed at you. This is aimed at the person. Like I think like most of the people who are upset with a PS5 Pro who have a PC, they're upset because potentially PS5 Pro is beating their average PC. And it's cheaper. It's kind of a thing. Like it's not to say that like a PS5 Pro is going to beat a PC. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is that gaming is eventually going to upgrade what is going to require for the next generation of gaming is going to be more on the computation side. And that's going to require probably a totally different CPU. Something that we just don't have today. And most people have skimped out on that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying everybody has skipped out on that. No, average PC gamer. If I said CPU PC gamer, I just meant the average CPU turnover of the average PC gamer. That's what I meant. The 36 is the most used GPU for Steam players based on 2024 data. And they're saying that, what is the CPU though, Joe? $3060. It's the 3060? I have to look at that data because that's not the data I saw. I actually saw it wasn't even the 2060 was the most used one. So I have to see that. It makes sense if it is a 3060. I got consoles after Xbox in the red ring of death. I realized I couldn't fix consoles if they break, but I can fix a PC if something fails. Crow, if you can fix it. See, that's the thing. If you can fix it, it's like the same people. It's like this. Like I have a friend, and every single time we go out, and it's like to get drinks or to go like, I don't even hang out with this chick anymore. But every single time we go out, she's like, oh, but I can make that at home. And I'm like, then why the F are you going out? Like, if you make it at home, do it. You do you. And then in my mind, I'm always like, but you kind of can't, Charlotte. I've tasted your shit, you know? But if you know how to cook, don't go out. If you know how to build a PC, totally hear you. You have it. Most people, though, don't know how to cook. Most people don't know how to put together a PC. That's my logic. I'm not saying PC's bad. If you know, like, it's like building a car. Like, people love to, like, or buying a home. Some people love to buy fixer-upper homes. They love to think they're HGTV. And then they don't do it. Like it doesn't work. The YouTube video does, like, it's like, nah, chick, that does not look like what I can see on Divine Design or something like that. That's the thing. Most people are not that good at it. I run a 3060 Ti and she's great. I don't know what you mean. Not joking. Makes sense. I bet it costs a lot. 3060 Ti? Not too much. It did cost. When did you buy it? When did you buy it? I know how to cook with a George Foreman grill. You do not. Stop it, Urban. You do not have a George Foreman grill. They don't even sell those, do they? They don't sell that. If you know how to build a PC, you don't go out. I know how to cook, Severin. Of course, Severin. Severin, what do you not know how to do? What does Severin not know? I can do both. A bit of cooking and a build a PC. Oh my goodness. Maybe that should be a channel. Cooking with your PC. Depending on how like some of those those Intel CPUs are doing right now, not looking good. You probably could cook. Things get hot. Over 2 years ago, ooh, he may have paid a pretty high price. 3060 Ti, let's see, 2 years ago? What was coming out? 4090s had just came, 40 series had just came out. I'm gonna say he's been probably a good, what, 450 to 500? Maybe? Or it's a Ti. Nah, he went up a little bit. Y'all are right. He went up to about 6. I put the wok on top of my PC to save heat. You put the wok on your PC? So you don't have fans? What kind of heathen are you? What kind of heathen? Let me drop this link for y'all. But yeah, that was the show. I just want to talk about that. I want to talk about XDefiant. I want to talk a little bit about PCs. I didn't really want to talk about PCs now because I know it's a tough spot. But if anything, it's a go get GFN. That's it. Y'all know I don't even like GFN, but go get GFN. 2.3 gigahertz. Here we go. I don't know how to build houses, but you don't have to. Didn't you buy your house from your dad? Here we go. Let me put this in. Hold on. You don't have to. But that's the same thing. If you don't know how to build houses, you might be better off just paying someone to do it. Because what's going to happen is you're going to do it, and then a leak's going to happen. And when the leak happens, you're going to have to pay someone else for the leak, and then you're going to have to pay someone else to fix the thing you did. That's how I feel like PCs are. Like people are like, oh, it looks so cool, easy. Let me go do it. And then all of a sudden, like they mess up on the thermal paste. Like some people are like, I didn't even know I needed thermal paste, or they're gonna bend a pin, or they're gonna try to skip out on a part. Like everybody wants like the cool GPU, and I get it, but then they'll skip out on something else, or heaven forbid they get into something with the BIOS. Like heaven forbid, like don't do that. Like even I would. That's actually why I do not like PCs. It's not even really on the hardware side of things. It's like on the when you're troubleshooting and you may have to like troubleshoot something on the software side. I cannot. Oh my goodness! I'm so excited, y'all, for who's on right now. Joe, what's going on?
Purple, how are you?
Doing well.
Excellent, excellent.
How are you, Joe? What's going on?
Busy, but doing well. No complaints, I guess.
So last time we talked to you, Joe, you were not going to you were not doing PAX. You were waiting.
Yeah.
And so game was about you were within that 12-month time frame that the game was supposed to launch. What's going on?
So we're still chipping away at it. It's morphed and you know, I mean, as it goes, it's changed a bunch, which is fine. Realistically, targeting like a full release, hopefully, knock on wood. Not the upcoming Next Fest, which is like October or whatever, but the one after, which is I believe like February. I have to look. Whenever the Next Fest is, that isn't the one that's coming up in like 2 months or whatever. Not that one.
Oh my goodness.
But should have some type of official announcement / Steam page like way before that.
That's super cool. So Joe, if y'all did not know, Joe's Army veteran, 16 years?
13 years, but yeah.
13. That's a prime number. I should have got that. I know my primes usually, but 13 years. Game dev now. Amazing dad. Does a lot of cool stuff. So Joe, so you're gonna launch it. We're gonna definitely be buying some so we can do some giveaways. But what do you think about what I was talking about earlier with subscriptions at Microsoft? You coming from the game dev side, like how do you see it from a monetization side of things?
Well, I think it all depends like who you're targeting for an audience, right? So like you could go mass appeal and try to make like it's a mistake a lot of solo indie like one man band or one woman band, whatever the case may be, teams make where they try to make like their dream game or like this big, open world RPG thing, and they fail because they're they're biting off more than they can chew. So you hear folks all the time talk about work on smaller games and find your niche and your audience and that type of thing. So the way I like to think about it, it comes down to like if you ever bought a house, right? You got to look at houses like the realtor comes to you with comps. Like here's the comparable, right? So when you're working on a game, you got to look at comps. So like don't compare it to like the Choo Choo Charles of the world that was made by one person and like went crazy viral because it's like Thomas the Tank Engine with spider legs or whatever, compare it to like, other people in your fighting weight per se, so go on stuff like gamestats.com, pay the $5 to be part of their Patreon. So you get like all the pro features where you can see like estimated revenue of games and look at other games. Like, okay, the revenue target Joe wants to hit is whatever, 50K. What are the top 10 games in my genre in the past 12 months look like that has supposedly hit that revenue mark? And then you can see like, oh shoot, there's ones in here that only have like 120 reviews that have made over 50K. Like how did they do that? And then you can kind of dig into that. Was it their audience? Did they already have an audience? Is it their fifth game? So it's just like managing your expectations and diversifying your portfolio, right? So you can go on Steam, but like anyone can apply for the ID at Xbox program. Anyone can apply to release their game on the Switch as long as it like fits within their portfolio. If it's like a super gory, bloody game, like probably not going to get on the Nintendo bandwagon. Like, let's just be honest. But as you diversify, because Steam's going to take 30%, all these platforms are going to take their cut, their pound of flesh as it was. But as long as you diversify, you'll be all right. If you're not quitting your day job and saying, I'm going to throw in like all the chips and just roll the dice and see what happens.
So you mentioned Nintendo and you're a game dev, so I want to get your opinion on this. And I see it in your mama knows. Shout out to Cowboy out in chat. And thank you all for coming by. Nintendo, obviously Nintendo's made the news with a recent indie developer out there in Japan. Yeah. What is your feeling on this? Obviously, Nintendo, Power World.
Yeah.
Do you think? I know we don't really know the case, and there's a lot of stuff with translations and Japanese law, and I don't want to get too high, like looking into it, but. When Power World first came out, a lot of people said, "Oh, whoa, that looks like Pokemon, like just the trademark of some of the characters."
Mm-hmm.
What is your feeling with Nintendo suing Power World from a developer standpoint? Is this something like you think of when you make a game? Like, hey, how much is my game similar to something? Or are you just like
100%, right? Because I want it similar so people remember it, but different enough so it stands out. That's why it goes back to like the house comp example, right? I want it comparable to whatever. Let's say, the game I'm working on, I want it comparable to Enter the Gungeon or this game or that game, right? But I don't want it just like a bullet hell game that's like the exact same art style or whatever, because like they're gonna come for me. Like it's not if, it's when. So but you want it similar enough, so especially if you're looking for like funding from publishers, if that's something someone chooses to do, you want it relatable enough to where they kind of understand the market you're going for, or you want it so unique that they see you could carve out your own market, because all the stuff in the middle usually gets lost. That's right. The stuff that like doesn't get funded or whatever. Like if you are someone seeking funding, you want it either so unique that like they're just blown away, or similar enough where they could see like, okay, it's similar to game ABCDEFG. I mean, in my like pitch deck that I'm currently working on, I've got 6 comp games, and it like outlines, here's the game, here's how my game is the same, here is how my game differentiates itself. And they're like 6 games that anyone would know that's into gaming, but it's written in there So when presented to someone, let's say Joe needs money help like localizing it and like converting it to like 8 languages, right? Because that's not cheap. If that's something Joe has aspirations to do in the future, I may pursue a publisher and look for assistance with that. And I want to be able to say like, okay, first, big game that's being published. Like, yeah, I did some little stuff that's great, but like, why are they gonna, they don't know me from a hole in the wall. Why are they gonna take a chance on me? So you have to kind of give them that foundational uh, comparison, but you don't want to be so close to where like it gets dicey. I mean, it's Pokemon with guns. I mean, let's just be.
Oh, so you think it's pretty close?
I think it's close enough where like IP law and infringement and like copyright law is like super messy and murky and like very gray area, and it's really hard to. Yeah, it's super challenging. I personally wouldn't even like mess with it. That's why like you have to read the fine print if you use like assets in your game or like free audio that you can get off like the various platforms. Like you got to read the fine print to be like, are they giving me a commercial license to use this, or is someone, if my game goes bananas, the guy that made this music track is going to come for his or her money.
That's interesting. No, that's super interesting insight there, because I think a lot of people, it's a trademark suit, not copyright. Nintendo filed a patent on PAL Sphere mechanic, which they filed in May, and was approved in August 24 in USA and in 21.
Yeah, I mean, trademark law is even worse. Like copyright law is messy, and like trademark stuff is even, even messier.
So I don't know. As it gets into Japan, I think Jeff's a lawyer. I think he is. Jeff's weird. We all know that. But I'm not gonna like this one. It's to your point, when you start talking about trademarks, patents, infringement, like you start talking, because in order to file your trademark or your patent, you have to say how it's going to be used. That's part of the process, at least in the United States, is you have to say like, I'm using it for this types of purpose. And so like I don't know. I don't have, like, I can't go through all of it to try to unpack it, but I think I agree.
Yeah.
But
it's it's the mechanic that they're arguing about, really, is ultimately what it comes down to.
And I don't know enough about Power. I actually don't know enough about Pokemon.
Yeah, but the whole Pokeball mechanic. You throw the sphere and it captures.
Well, that's in a game. Thing. You're saying you so like. I don't know. Is it like a coding thing? Like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know.
You can't really trademark code, but you could trademark the mechanic, I guess.
So you're saying it's so close you wouldn't have. You're saying
I wouldn't have messed with it. Like if that was the game Joe was working on, I'd be like, I was working on another game that I had like 2/3 of the way done, and someone released a game that was very similar just by chance, and I abandoned it. I walked away. I deleted the whole thing, scrapped it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Internet Marcus is always using these big words. Like infringement of means of collection, like it's such a like it's like, what are you talking? A claim is an infringement of. It sounds like something I would see in a manual. Marcus always gives us these terms. So all right, there you go, guys, from a game developer, because I know it's been a lot of stuff. A lot of people are actually taking like Nintendo's picking on this game developer, and I always say this. I'm always like, these people are not like innocent people. Like they know that they're messing with fire. Like when it first came out, it's Nintendo. You're kind of playing with it, and if like, I think you could probably have done a trademark as well, but it seems like they're trying to kill the game outright versus like switching some characters around.
And they're indie, but like they're not like me, it's not like one person on their nights and weekends like working on this game. I mean, the Power World folks like got their bag of money. I mean, let's be honest, like
they did.
Nintendo's just like the bigger bully on the playground, realistically, but they're doing okay.
Yeah, but you know how gamers are. They like to defend multi-trillion-dollar companies against multi-billion-dollar companies. It's like, and I know you used to work at a multi-trillion-dollar company, and I think you probably are like me and are like, they're all assholes.
Yeah, sure.
they're all assholes.
Yeah.
So I totally hear you. Bulls for life. What's going on? Just talking to Joe here about the game, talking about his game coming up, talking about what he's been doing, asking him questions about as an indie game developer, different uh, revenue models, what he thinks about, and also talking about some copyright stuff. And it's actually really, you said that. I did not know that. I know you switched directions in your game, but it's actually really interesting to hear you say that as someone like where you are. You don't have like a legal team, a marketing team. It's Joe, and you
Yeah.
knew like, hey, when I'm creating my game, this other game that just released, it's similar enough that I don't want to touch and go in that direction. And that's actually that kind of puts things in perspective. I think that there aren't really innocent people.
I mean, I looked at it. You got one chance to make a first impression. So, when I get there and the Steam page is up and it's live and it's great, whatever, or as good as I can make it within my power, it's my one shot. So, that means I got to burn some stuff to the ground and rebuild it. That is what it is.
I thought you were going to start quoting a Eminem song there with that one shot, but you took it a different direction. I was like, man, he's got to do it. And then you didn't. You lose it. But Van Spates. So Van Spates came. I play XDefiant, the game from Ubisoft, Joe, a lot, and I am going to start interviewing some of those content creators. Van Spates is one of the people who comes from that community. He doesn't know about your game. If you had to do it, here's your chance. Pitch your game to Van Spates.
So my game as it currently stands now, subject to change as always, but we'll pitch it anyways. So it's a fantasy dungeon crawler with bullet hell type elements, where you're a wizard that has lost your magic and you're pretty pissed about it. And it breaks the fourth wall, and it's very tongue-in-cheek, and he's very self-aware that he is in a video game, and it should cause some laughs and be tons of fun, and you'll probably be able to beat it in like 90 minutes. It'll be less than $10. As long as I can figure it out from a mental capacity standpoint. At some point, it will have like 4-player co-op mode, so you can play with your friends online. And that's the Joe saying everything I'd want to hear in any department at a marketing or publishing firm. I appreciate that. Thank you,
Marcus. No, so that's it. So Joe, it seems like this has some legs. Have you ever thought about maybe pitching this as like a TV show?
A TV? Yeah, no, I have not.
This sounds like it has amazing crossover appeal.
I just think it's funny. It takes like the typical fantasy, like you're a wizard and you have magic, except you don't have any magic and you got to use swords and crossbows and fight through dungeons so you can get your magic back, and you're pissed that you have to walk and you can't levitate, and that like you have to, use your hands and can't shoot fireballs and stuff. I just thought it was funny.
What do y'all think? And what's the name of it? Roster wants to know.
Out of Mana.
Out of Mana.
Yeah.
I love it. I think I want to see like a comic book series. You got to give me something more. I need more of this story. I feel like this wizard is like, it sounds like, like there's the Amazon TV show The Boys, and it says I feel like this is the wizard equivalent of The Boys.
I never even thought of that, but in some ways it could be, way more PG, 13-ish than The Boys are, if you've ever watched it. I just thought it was an interesting concept to take like your traditional kind of like dungeon crawler with like bullet hell type influence a little bit, shooting enemies and all that stuff, and really polished type gameplay, but like your wizard doesn't have any powers. He's a regular person, and I think
wait, you said
funny.
Polished gameplay, Joe. You cannot give us a polished gameplay. You need to give us a game with bugs. You know how this goes.
Well, it'll have bugs, I'm sure. That's like just gonna happen.
No, like game stopping bugs.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
You're like, no. Y'all, this is who we want to see. Joe sold me on the premise. Hey, Admiral Alyssa, how are you? Well, we are definitely going to showcase the game there. That's why we love to see Joe. He's our resident game dev. Came through it with us from the Stadia days. And he has been talking about this game for 3 years now. So we're all excited.
So many variations. I did like the classic dev thing where I like started like open world RPG in it and was like, what am I doing? And then yeah, so it's gone through a lot of iterations, but we're where we're supposed to be now. And yeah, we're going to see it through the end, and it'll go out into the wild. And biggest thing anybody can do to help when it does come out, please review it.
And we will definitely do a launch on. I'm sure everybody, you have a couple of us in the community who are definitely going to be buying this day and date, as they say in gaming. But we are going to be covering it on this channel. I'm sure we got Jeff is in chat. Jeff's covering everything except Madden, and a couple of others. And we'll probably be doing some giveaways for it because we need more game devs like Joe. That's what I'm going to say. Like Joe.
Well, yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, sure, I'd love to make some money, but as long as I make my $100 back from Steam, like, we're good. Like, I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it one so I can say, like, fun fact for anybody that didn't know, if you're a publisher, especially an indie publisher, and you publish more than 2 games on Steam, you're already in the top 75% of publishers on Steam.
So this is the first one.
Right.
This is
so
the
you only
first
need
one.
2, because a lot of people will be one and done. You do 2, and you're in the top 75% of publishers on Steam.
And y'all, if y'all did not know, Joe's like a self-taught game dev. So those stories about like, hey, this is like something I just picked up. As I mentioned before, 13 years in the Army.
Yeah.
Now
I'm a recruiter for the federal government. Like, it has nothing to do with my day job. It has nothing. Like,
has nothing.
Nothing to do. Nothing. Nope. I'm just a huge nerd. That's all it comes down to.
This is super cool. I love this story. That's why we bring you on, Joe.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you bringing me on.
No worries, Joe. Well, Joe, keep, obviously I do something for around Veterans Day for us. You're always welcomed on the show, and we'll definitely coordinate some more stuff on behind the scenes, as they say in the showbiz world.
For sure. And I'll let you know as soon as I get my foundation built on Steam and there's actual stuff people can see. I will definitely let you know.
Yep. And it will be optimized for PS5 Pro, y'all. It's on Steam.
That's I could do a whole segment on what it takes to optimize games for these dang consoles and like the various requirements for like a Switch versus Xbox. Man, you want to talk about challenging? Holy moly!
We're gonna bring you on
certain frame rate. It's crazy.
We're gonna bring you on. We're gonna bring you on in November when it launches, when the Pro launches, just to get your opinions on stuff. But thank you so much, Joe.
I'd love to know what their specs are for getting the game on the Pro.
All right. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. We're gonna bring in one more person here. Y'all know who he is. I think this is his first time. I don't actually recognize this name. Can you, caller? Can you introduce yourself?
I'm a big fan, first time caller, long time listener.
Holtz, what's going on?
Do you know what? My brother, right? My younger brother, he's not a gamer, doesn't play games. He woke me up about a week-ish ago and he went, Holtz, that's what he calls me. He went, have you seen the PlayStation 5 Pro? Oh my God, it looks amazing. I said, you don't even play games to care. He went, 8K gaming.
Oh my God. Is that not what the first PS5 told us?
You got 8K gaming, VRR, better PlayStation VR2 compatibility, Wi-Fi 7, enhanced GPU for ray tracing. I was like, oh my God, how does he know all this? It was like a mass marketing. And I was like, buddy, stop. You're not going to get 8K gaming unless it's an indie game. And if you're talking about performance, fidelity, and frame rates,
why did you bust his bubble? Why did you bust his bubble?
Because I'm not letting someone come in talking about PlayStation Pro 5, like PlayStation 5 Pro, like dissing the one that I've got on my shelf. I'm better. I'm a gamer. Like, how dare you talk about 8K?
What are you talking? Holtz, but you were supposed to stop gaming like, what was it? Like last year?
No, 2025, I said.
It always pushes out a little bit. 1 year, one more year.
No, it was 2020. It was always 2025.
So 2025, Holtz is stopping. He's no longer gaming.
You know why I want to stop gaming in 2025?
Why is that?
Because Indiana Jones says, I hate snakes. Right? And then out of nowhere, he releases his game right next to Metal Gear Solid Delta on PlayStation 5. I can't work with all that.
There's too much hypocrisy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he released on PlayStation 5 where there's loads of snakes. So I don't get behind that message anymore. But my brother should have seen him.
What's that?
Ray tracing. He was talking about ray tracing on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like he knew what ray tracing was. And I was like, okay, what game are you going to play? It's like, probably FIFA. It's like, sorry, bud. FIFA's not going to have ray tracing.
My goodness. FIFA. Or what is it called? FA? It's not FIFA. It's FA, isn't it? What happened? Did we lose Holtz?
It's EAFC 25.
EAFC. I knew it had an F in it. And I knew it had an A in it.
I apologize for saying FIFA. Isn't it weird that my brother doesn't care about gaming and they bring a pro version out? And I was trying to say to him nicely, because he's my younger brother. I said, well, I had the PlayStation 4 Pro and I had the Xbox Scorpion edition. And I said, and I was always wanted incremental upgrades to my console. And I said, listen here, even though it sounds nice on paper that you got better stats, specs and stuff like that, I said the developers are not going to put the time to optimize for different gamers' needs. I said, so you might see a little tinker in a mode, but I might offer you a little bit more, but definitely not to have the price increase. But I don't think that actually sunk in his mindset. I think he's just going to run with the narrative. And I'm like, oh.
So if y'all did not know, Holt has a twin brother, Jay.
No, this is not Jay. This is my other brother.
Oh, this is not your twin.
No, this is not Jay. Even though Jay is my younger brother, I got a younger brother.
A younger that I haven't met.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So Holt's family.
Jay's
It's a long way of saying Holt's family is eventually going to get a PS5 Pro.
and I'll be the only one that doesn't have one.
And he'll probably get it.
No, I can't support incremental upgrades anymore. I
can't do it.
No, because I've seen how well developers optimize their games, and they should just save that power, save that R&D, and wait for the PlayStation 6.
PlayStation 6.
I don't think there's any need for the PlayStation 5 Pro or the Xbox Pro.
Well, I already told you, I don't think Xbox is making another console as we understand consoles.
Good.
But that is I know that is a very drastic statement and dramatic, but I just don't. I think Microsoft is in charge of Xbox now. Like, I don't think it's going to be able to run like a little merry band of indie game devs within Microsoft. I think like they're actually they're being very corporate-y, very Microsoft-like, and I just don't see why they would release another one. Who knows?
It makes sense to me just to have the client on PC or have the application on your telly and other devices and then just cloud game. That makes more sense for Microsoft.
That makes more sense to me. It says like you've already made all this investment in cloud, which by is not cheap.
I love Microsoft's hardware. I love the Xbox. I always support it and stuff like that. But I think that it's losing the trajectory in the fans' mindset of how it's going to produce hardware. I think Sony's ran away with that like smaller form factor console device, and that's running away with the market. And handhelds is definitely the Nintendo. And I think poor Xbox is going, well, what should we do? Well, just buy studios and release them everywhere else. That's what you can do.
That's what I think like my biggest thing is, to your point, like if you're releasing it on other places, you're about to get opened up on one of the largest console ecosystem in gaming, which is Nintendo. I know everyone's going to say it's PC, but like paying customers, it's Nintendo. Maybe I guess I could make an argument.
Before mentioned like 30%. I don't know if it's 30% across the board on all other storefronts like Steam and stuff like that. But if you're getting 30% off a game, that's a lot of money, isn't it? Just sell it somewhere else and off you go.
And especially if your name is Microsoft, like from a software, like that's why they stopped making PCs, right?
So instead of running the rat race and having too much competition, just put like Indiana Jones. There you go, PlayStation, give us 30%.
That's it.
Hope it sells millions on your console.
That's why I think they're trying to signal, like I said, but people get angry at me. Xbox Center, where's the Eternal Shaddai? He was on here earlier. Where's he? They get upset with me when I tell them this, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Sony's got the Apple effect over even Holt's non-gaming brother. Sony's I own a Pixel.
My brother is actually an iPhone user as well, so I do argue about that all the time. He once it's when he believes it's a premium device, he'll go, "Oh, it's amazing, it's the best thing ever." You're like, in the mobile space, we've had it for years with Android. He's like, "No, Apple's the best."
That's how I talk to Urban about Pixel versus Samsung Galaxy. If he's still in chat, I'm like, we've had that in Pixel for a while, but
So I'm saying to my brother, like, I'm listening, like, "Oh yeah, so you do know that with increased ray tracing, you do know you're going to take a big, huge hit in frame rates unless it's going to be very optimized, or you're going to have like technologies like DSS and stuff like that." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Exactly. Just ignore me." So he thinks he's going to get all these perks, but I know he's going to be upset. I know it.
Well, I don't. The only thing I will say this, Marcus just put it in chat. The PS5 Pro, that skin, like, I kind of like to collect things, as y'all can see back there. That I may get. That looked cool to me. So I'm definitely gonna try to get the PS5 Pro with the retro skin.
Are you gonna buy the disk drive for it?
So Holt, if you remember when I did my reveal of PlayStation, I actually got the digital version, right? Because it's smaller, right? And we wanted something that was smaller. And I said, when they come out with a smaller one, I'll buy it. And I did. And when I did that, and I found out that my library, I can check out PS5 games for free, I actually went and bought the disc drive. So already
look at the size of that.
I know it actually, it's like the size. It's, oh my goodness, it is the size of my
you could put a piece of toast in there, a big huge slice of bread.
That would be, it's definitely like a nice hamburger size there. But so I already have it. I already have the disc drive ready to go. But here's the thing. Why did I say I bought this? So I could play games from the library. I haven't played one game from the library. I don't use. I'm not like TK9 or some of these people who are like they have to have physical. I am like I just have it. So I guess I'm covered.
No, I mean, when in today's world, when I hear the word pro, I think to myself, it has to have better hardware. In a sense, like I want the Elite controller. I want something else to make it feel like I've got the Pro bundle. And when removing the disc drive and they're just putting the basic DualSense 5 in, and I feel like that's not a Pro version. I think I want the Elite extras to justify the price of entry. Having that price of entry at like $700 minus the disc drive is a big, huge ask. I know consoles are going up and gamers are more flexible these days in buying the hardware at that price in today's gaming market, but to me, I'm like, no, it's a big ask. Big ask.
Well, I am definitely not a mark, as Marcus has said, even though I buy every color of Xbox controller. As I have that one and like 3 others up here. But yeah, no, I think, like I said, I'm gonna buy it just because I feel like it looked cool. Not the regular one, like the retro. Now, again, I'm someone, and I've said this before, I can't really tell the difference in some of these graphic fidelity things. Like, I've watched numerous people like Digital Foundry, and I really don't like how those people talk. I just want to say that. I don't like how Digital Foundry talks, but I can't tell the difference in what they're showing me. And ever since I got the Series S and the X, I can't tell the difference in like those games either. So
I mean, I know what PC rig you've got. Have you ever loaded the PlayStation Game Studio on your PC?
The only thing I did on my PC that I loaded up and I played, it was recently, was Black Myth Wukong. I loaded Black Myth Wukong up on my PlayStation, on my PC, and on my PlayStation, and it ran better I get this. I told you this is actually not a commercial for PC gaming, but it looked better on my PC. Now it was pushing it. I haven't seen it push like that in a second because I don't really game on my PC like that. But because I already had it on my PC and I went on Steam and bought it, even though I beat it on PlayStation, guess where it ran the best? GFN. GFN, it looked the best. Like GFN, I had no, because I already had it, so I re-upped my subscription last month. That's about to run out just to see what it looked like.
Was it a native app on your television? Was it on the Shield? Was it on
the GFN, I did both GFN on the TV and GFN on the PC.
And which one would you say better? PC?
I can't tell the difference between the two GFNs, but I can tell the difference between PlayStation, PlayStation, PC, and GFN. I could tell that difference. I'm not as good to tell you the difference between what showed up on the monitor versus the TV. No, they looked.
Is that because, did you notice visually, from a visual point of view, performance with it, or did you actually notice it because you've seen the benchmarks on the screen?
No, I just could tell. Like, so when you open up the game and you're playing through it, there's certain parts, and maybe I could have got it to run similar on the PC if I really tinker, but that's the thing. I don't like tinkering things. But there's certain things, like certain movements that the guy does, and you can see it in the very beginning, that it just was smoother with GFN versus the PC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's running it at like with the 4090 and I just updated my CPU not too long ago.
Isn't the RTX 4080 with GFN?
It just ran better.
Yeah.
I think that it just ran better. I'm not sure what it was. So that's why I say like if anything, I think cloud gaming, like when these things really start to, now let me say this, they could have probably optimized that game better, 100%. But I think in general, if you don't like tinkering and you want like the best, like I said, I could have maybe changed a couple of settings and did something different. Like if I was Marcus spent like a whole hour with that. Maybe I could have got it, but to me, GFN ran it really pretty.
Well, I give up on GFN. Nothing wrong with the quality of the games and the price. I just can't stand the credentials signed in. Still,
I don't like it.
I hear the news like, oh yeah, they fixed the Xbox login, sign into any of your Microsoft games, Xbox games, one time only, and never sign in again. And I go, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, and every time pops up, and I'm like, am I the only one that's having these credential issues?
No, I have. But I wouldn't mind it. Who does GFN in chat? I think that's how Roster and I play Orcs Must Die. But if I had a consistent login experience on GFN, I would be okay. Like if it's consistently like this, then or whatever this is, I'll be okay. Okay, like I know what to expect. What I don't like is I could play Orcs Must Die, Darksiders, because that's where I have the entire Darksiders collection. Black Myth Wukong, Witcher 3. I'll use those 4 because I know for a fact those 4. They all have a different experience getting into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them, like Orcs Must Die, I can like click Orcs Must Die, it does like a little thing, and then I'm in like that loading screen. If I do Witcher 3, it's like half the time I'm not going to be able to get in because it's like does some other like pathway and some other credential. Black Myth Wukong, even that one kind of did something different. The TV versus the PC.
Because I'm a controller person, so when I'm sitting down with the controller and say a box pops up, and I'm like, okay, let me just try this on screen keyboard, and I've got a heavy password with multiple characters, and never spell it wrong or do something wrong, it just frustrates me. And every time and then you got 2-step verification with say your Microsoft account and stuff like that, it just stops me on a game. Where I know when we were playing Stadia, it just went straight in. And I know GeForce Now is going to slowly do that better and better and better, but I still feel like I'm fighting with this service.
Yeah, no, I like I said, there's a reason I played it on PlayStation versus on GFN, even though I thought GFN looked the best. It was playable. Like some people were like, "Oh, it's not playable." No, it was very playable on PlayStation. But if I was to be very honest, I'm not gonna be like that person who says, "Oh, PlayStation matched the PC." No, it didn't match the PC. But at the same time, I'm also going to say the PC did not match GFN.
Well, it was what you were saying before. PlayStation 5 does match the average PC in specs, but what people are running on YouTube and Digital Foundry, they're talking about the best GPUs, the
No,
best.
they're talking the best optimist. They're talking people who actually on. That's what this is, and this is what I was trying to tell Severin. I think he left chat. You know, he's getting ready for his twin's birthday. Uh if you know PCs, it's like if you know how to fix your car, you know how to cook. Like, yes, you can make it work 100%. But you're spending time to do that. That's a resource, and also you have like the best. You have the best right now. Like I want to find the person who can make it run like that better consistently with one of these discount PCs. I'm like, I just don't like that's what people like. It just like people act like, oh, I got this PC and each game will run well on this PC. And it's like, no, that's not how PC gaming works. It's like you could have literally 2 games that are really well optimized, but they're going to run different on your PC.
I know I couldn't do it. I've seen it many times each generation, the last like 3 generations. And one, Sony and Xbox get at that form factor because they get the parts at that price, form factor, and stuff like that, because they get the parts millions of times sold in bulk. So then they can create a device in that size and optimize a game to run that set hardware. And the developers know that piece of equipment, so they know how to optimize a game. If I try to build a $500, $700 PC at that size and then try to tinker it, like you mentioned, it'll take a long time to slowly filter through everything just to run a PlayStation 5.
I mean, they're getting like, yeah, and they're getting it better. And the other thing is when you're buying a bulk order that size, you can get a customized chip. That's the other thing. That's why I was like, in order for us to get the equivalent chip, you actually something on the wholesale side versus a customized chip. They're able to get that customized chip with potentially the same specs you can get on the wholesale side, but their chip is customized for their platform. It's going to outdo your wholesale chip. It just is what it is. And that's why you always have to like kind of go a couple of like evolutions above whatever the console chip is. But regardless, as long as you're gaming, you're good with me. You know how this is. I don't want to get into it. I just want to say everything to say like GFN on this most recent game ran better. That's it.
So would you say you're going to push forward for GFN going forward, or do you think you're going to stick to your PlayStation?
I like simplicity. I like I said, even with
Yeah, you're similar like me. Clean user interface. Just click.
yeah, I like it. I like to see if I hit an achieve. Here's a good one. Here's something that really drives me crazy on GFN. Unless I click on the achievement or the trophy, I forget what Steam calls it. Unless I click on it, it says achievement on Steam. Unless I click on that achievement right at that moment, I lose it. Like I have to come out of the game. I don't know how to do this on GFN. Like I have to come out of the game to go figure out what it was that I did. The percentage of players, like it doesn't have the best UI for some of these other things.
I'm that type of gamer where I will not push the button. I get a notification on my phone and I'll just okay, got that.
But GFN doesn't do that.
I'll lift my phone up and go, I've got a notification off.
GFN doesn't even do that. Like, but that's why I'm saying I like the simplicity of it. I think Rouster and I got party chat to work. Rouster, did we? I forget how we would chat. We would chat through Discord. I don't know. There's just too many things that I'm using other apps to get the game to work. And so that's why, like, I have the Darksider series on there just because it was really cheap. But which shout out to anybody who likes Darksiders 2. There's going to be a remaster coming out next month, and I will be buying that.
Another remaster?
Yes, so they did the Death Innovative Edition, which we played on Stadia, and next they're doing the definitive edition of Darksiders 2, which obviously it's the best Darksiders out of them all.
So why did you change the word to definitive and got rid of the definitive?
They did the definitive. I don't know. This is another thing where I will be checking out the differences. And if I was better at making videos and cutting videos, I would tell y'all what the differences were. But I'm not. So you have to take my word. Like, trust me, bro. That I will be honest on my review of the definitive versus the Death Innovative edition.
Oh, okay, that'll be interesting. I haven't played Darksiders 2 in a while, since like Stadia. I think that was the last time I played it. So seeing upscales.
Shut up, Jack of all trades. You do not. Did you really? Jack of all trades just bought Darksiders 2. Oh my goodness, such a good game. Such a good game. So Holtz, keep going. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's all right. All right. I'll be interested to see what it offers. Better textures. What platform's going to run on?
Yeah.
It's older game. Older game.
It's an older game, but it's a classic. If you did buy the PS4 version or the Xbox One version, man, if my friends knew how I talk, they would be like, "What are you talking about?"
I think I've got the PlayStation 4 version as well.
Yeah, no, most people do. They never came out with a PlayStation 5 version. So if you bought that version, you'll be able to upgrade to the definitive edition. They just launched the trailer. So if y'all want to go see it, go check it out.
I'll load it, download it, try and be nostalgic. This is going to be amazing. Then I'm like, move on.
You know, like, it is still a good game. Like, it is such a good game. Like, every single time I go play that game, there's always like a line that Death says, like one of the best commentaries like ever. Death has, and they're so deep. Like, oh my goodness, I'm on the spot right now. Next time I'll come with like my favorite Death quotes. Oh my goodness, what is it? There's like, this is no place for a horse. You know, he says so many things that's like, oh man, he's bad at.
I mean, I know you like 2. I'm a number 1 fan.
War. I just think War is so like clunky.
Yeah, War is bulky. He is, but you know, I do love that open world. The game that we got, I love that it was so linear. Then it opens up and it felt more Zelda-esque, and then I love the character with the watchers and stuff like that. I just like that approach better with the timepiece it was set in than actual 2. 2 was great, so was 3.
2, yeah, 2 you go to. I mean, 2 does go to Earth of like very quickly into comparative to the game as we're, you know, War Mastered. You're mostly on. You're not mostly. I think you're always on Earth. No. You go to hell. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited, Jack. If you've never played, yeah, I love it.
I'm happy for all the people that are going to play this definitive edition. If you've never played it, but to me, I feel like because I've got the free upgrades, I'll check it out, but I don't think I'll finish it.
Nah, I definitely think. I mean, what am I playing right now? So right now I am playing XDefiant. Shout out to XDefiant community. And I'm trying to get. So I just played Black Myth Wukong. I just saw this 87 hours in Black Myth Wukong, and this is kind of an excuse for my poor XDefiant gameplay right now. I've kind of lost my edge in XDefiant.
People shouting at you, get with it, purple.
Yeah, there's like they're like, you know, like they see purple haze, whatever. They're like, do not. They leave the lobby. Yeah, like it is like, oh man.
Like, it used to be cool, but now
yeah, like you know, like
Wukong.
I had someone because like my rating on there is like 130 something, which isn't high anymore. Like when I first started Black Myth Wukong, it was like kind of high, but like it's no longer that high. But still, I'm like sometimes the top person in my lobby, and if I don't finish first, like I've literally had people come off mic and be like, "What kind of piece of shit?" Blah blah blah. Like 130, who are you? Like I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, and especially if we lose, like, I'm like, God.
How did you find the one difficulty setting in Wukong?
I like hack and slash games. So
it never plays a factor.
I mean, it's hard, but like I like hack and slash. I like Metroidvania types. So to me, it's just figuring out. I mean, Black Myth Wukong's. I feel like there is some form of AI in that game, but I didn't like it's hard. But if you like hack and slash, just like if you like platformers, just if you like puzzle games in general, it's just a puzzle, and you got to figure it out. So that's how I saw it, and it's free to. I like the movement. Like that's my thing. If I don't like the move, that's why I cannot play Elden Ring. I can't stand the movement in that game.
Is it because it's more parry based compared parry and
It
block?
could be. I
Oh.
did notice people who are more Souls-like and parry-based types of games. There are certain bosses in Black Myth Wukong that they struggle with. And for me, like Black Myth Wukong plays like a hack and slash. So what is like a thing about hack and slashes? You're constantly dodging and getting out and dodging and like timing and dodging. Like it's constantly that dance versus the Souls like where you're like you kind of go in there and if you know your parry, you know your timing of that, like you can just sit there and fight it. As we're like hack and slash, it's like unless you're just way OP, it's like this dance you have to do. And so I'm okay with that. Like, right, like I said, I play Metroidvanias, which also have like this timing dance to it. But I was fine with it. Like I said, I was fine with it. You know,
86 hours does seem long. I'm not.
well,
even...
I beat the game and then I went back to get some achievements. So like I won't platinum it because there's some that I'm just like I don't want to do that. But there was like a so I beat the game. I went back and there's like these things like journal entries where there's all these characters that you run across and there's an achievement to say you got every journal entry. I beat the game. I went back to get all those and there was like something I did. The thing the game does that kind of annoys people, but I understand why they do it. You can, if you go into a certain area and don't do something in the previous area, you can't get that. You can't get that achieved. You can't get that character. And so I did that on accident in my second. So I had to go do a third playthrough. That's why it's so high up there in the game.
Situations, and I also hate when developers make me want to play like them to get an achievement. Hate that. I remember going back to Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and there was 2 achievements I never got. One was throwing money on the floor, and 2 was picking up dirt and throwing it in people's face. And I'm like, why would I throw dirt in people's face? And why would I waste all my coin when I need it for better weapons? And when I got to the end of the game, I was like, I'm not doing them 2 stupid achievements. In merit, I just thought, that's not what an assassin does. And I refused to follow a developer's play style just to get the...
Look at you, giving it to the developer.
Yeah, probably 2 easy ones to get. You know what I mean? I'm not throwing dirt in anyone's face. I'm an assassin.
Why am I less popular than Dr. Disrespect? And don't tell Jersey Chills Gaming that. Jersey's a huge Dr. Disrespect fan. I don't, we never talked about it on this channel, but I don't quite understand the whole history there. I'm like, well, if you talk to a kid and you talked about inappropriate stuff, like that makes you kind of like that, because it kind of makes you like what we talked about earlier in the beginning of the show. Like that's not what adults do. So I think that's the end of the story, but I guess he has like his defenders and stuff. And so I'm like, all right, like I guess. But what did I do that was so bad? What did I say? I said like I like hack and slash better than Souls games because hack and slash are better. Is that what I said? What is it, Marcus?
I'm similar to yourself. I prefer hack and slash. I prefer like you said, doing that dance. I like rolling, and I like doing flips over people and sort of taking my stance back. The only thing I can't stand in these games is where like if I come back after grinding equipment and I'm more powerful than it, I hate 1-hit kills. I hate that if I misstep and then someone does a big, huge, powerful attack and it instantly kills me.
Yeah, I mean, it frustrates me. Obviously, I think a marquee of hack and slash is like, obviously there's like moves that you can't counter from the boss, like, or from like it's designed like that. Like there's nothing you can do. And I think Souls players, that pisses them off that there's not a counter.
Because if you see like The Witcher, I prefer like if I use an accessory slot, I want like some kind of protection that gives me one HP. So if I do get in that situation, I can sort of stand back and recover and do something. I hate just instantly dying and I go, wow, It took me 5 hours to get that far, and I'm dead.
Oh yeah. So I don't like that. I mean, that's why I like kind of the model where it's like it's designed to get you back into the game and get you like trying and trying and trying. Like I do that. I understand. Like Wit, she's not here today. She sometimes comes through. Wit's the type who she doesn't like that. She doesn't like to get that like constantly like you die, you die, you die, you die, you die, you die. And then or you get all this far and then you die. And I think just like a marquee of hack and slash is that like it's part of it. You know, it's and so like I don't know. I equate it to like platformers.
I can't stand when a cinematic comes in and you have to button bash.
I love the cinematics. That's the whole story.
I love cinematics, but I hate when you have to do quick time events and bash a button. And if you die
during the cinematic, you would hate supermassive games.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, I'm focused on what's happened, and then if it sits there and goes press square, 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 if it freezes a little second, then I realise I have to button mash square or hold square. I'm down for it, but I think it's a stupid mechanic.
Oh my goodness. I hear you. And Marcus, I will say this. I just wanted to get all the journal entries and like do not go through chapter 4 unless you beat everything. Like that's all I'm gonna say. Because if you mess up in chapter 4 or you don't see someone in chapter 3, you will mess up. So that's what happened. So I had to beat the game again and then go through. And so right now I'm in my new game plus and I'm just chilling. I did everything I wanted to do. All right, no worries, Rouster. We're actually about to close it down. Thanks so much for joining, Rouster, and thanks for also. I know you do a lot of Xbox and Game Pass, so thanks for fact checking on a lot of that stuff. Like I said, I think it's a great service. I'm not saying it's not. What I am saying is, I don't think that's where gaming's going. That was that. So thank you so much, Rouster, and thanks for being an awesome moderator. Knowing we've had some problems in the past. Thank you. But Holtz, what's going on?
I'm just waiting for some games to release. I'm still waiting for that Mortal Kombat 1 DLC to come out.
Heard that's coming out.
I was a bit upset at the price because I don't care about all the extra DLC characters. I just want the story. And I respect the development team, I respect the studio enough to give them more money because I love the franchise. But part of me is like, come on, I could just watch this story on YouTube and just, got the gist of it. But in the end, I flipped the coin with Jay and we decided to get it on the PlayStation 5. So I will be playing Chaos Reigns expansion next week. And also I mentioned last time, I've pre-ordered Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So anime fighting game. So I'll be more in the fighting side of games.
Well, like I said, I just got Prince of Persia DLC just launched. Shout out to Estadia. Y'all know who he is. A guy who always gives us the stats about cloud gaming and so forth. Or just stats in general. Is brilliant mind. He actually told me Prince of Persia was launching this week. I didn't even know. And so if you're a really big fan of that one that came out this year, this is the DLC for that. I obviously bought it. And also if you know me, I love Remnant 2. The final DLC launches next week. I am super psyched about getting back into that game. So I'm really in my DLC mode. I think I told y'all that. Plus, so I'm kind of like leaving Black Myth Wukong away. And plus, huge shout out because there's a couple people in chat. XDefiant Season 2 launches. We get a preview tomorrow. I'm really excited just because I think there's a lot of excitement in the community with the XDefiant community right now. And I don't know, it's really cool to be part of that community. So I'm super excited about that.
Last week I played a bit of Astrobot.
That's what Rudix plays.
I'm just playing that chill. I mean, it's a great family friendly game. I love stupid things that I can just relax in. It's not something that I would be raving about, but it's definitely a good game for the family. They're laughing and joking, so I can see it being a nominee in the Game of the Year awards in some categories. So
it definitely can. I meant to talk about Astrobot earlier, but then And then I got sidetracked. Sony obviously did really well. That game is selling really, despite what people said, that game is selling really, really well. I'm not really a platformer. I'm a Metrovania, so if I have to have platforming elements in my game, but I'm not. I don't know. That's what I saw. I saw a platformer.
It's weird when you just said tech demos. That technically speaking was a tech demo for the PlayStation 5, and then look, full-fledged game, amazing.
Well, maybe we can hope Hellblade can do the same.
Yeah, in the DLC expansion.
I have no faith in that company. That's all I'm gonna say. I have no faith. It has nothing to do with Ninja Theory. I think they're great people. I think what they've done for mental health awareness is amazing. I just have no faith in Microsoft, except to give me a virus. That much I know is true. But who knows? Maybe they'll make it. Maybe they'll pull an Astrobot Playroom into an Astrobot Game of the Year with Hellblade. Maybe.
I can see it now.
We'll see. What can you see?
Hellblade 2 coming back from the dead just to spite all the gamers.
No.
They're going to say, we just give you a tech demo. Here's the full game.
Here's the full game. Okay, that would piss people off even more, I think. Well, no, what they'll say is, hey, half of y'all didn't even play the intro to the game. That's what they're going to say.
They're going to say...
Seriously, at 50%.
They're going to say, if you paid attention to the motion capture part, then you realise that we had more game to play.
You know, someone else was telling me this. There's things... The tech demo, half of the footage from the tech demo for the game isn't even in the game. I can't. I get triggered. It's how Silent Cypher gets triggered with Nintendo. I get triggered with Hellblade 2. I can't. No more. I'm thinking positive thoughts. XDefiant Season 2. Positive thoughts. There's a studio space for Microsoft mocap. What? Oh my goodness. And Internet Games Chapter 3. Don't worry, Marcus. As long as you continue to stream it, I will be there to make sure you do not miss out on anything that you shouldn't miss out on. And Chariot Man, if you're still out there, 5 hours on one boss. It was I've never seen someone do that. Like, it was intense. And the thing was, it wasn't even the main boss of the level. So
was it 5 hours because it was hard? It was a hard boss, or was it 5 hours because
it's in my opinion, it's one of the hardest bosses because you're so early in the game.
Did you do it?
Yeah, of course I had to beat the game.
Okay, it wasn't an additional boss like you see in Elden Ring.
No, it's like actually a boss you have to get through. And that's actually why I was so critical. As hard as some of those bosses are, the fact that I think the last time I checked, like 60-something% of gamers who've played the game have beaten that chapter. And so it's like, how's that possible? How's a game where like Hellblade 2, where you just push forward for 43 minutes to get through the introduction, how do people not have time for that, but have time for this boss that anybody who tells me they beat Tiger Vanguard in less than 30-40 minutes, I think you're lying.
I think what's got to do with is energy levels. Maybe people fell asleep in Hellblade and the console went in sleep mode, and that's what happens compared to always staying on your toes. And
I didn't say it. Holt said it. I didn't say it. All right. Look, I'm going to stop. Someone may like Hellblade 2 out there. I just haven't met them. Except for the studio. I wrote a mean tweet to the studio last week about Hellblade 2, so I kind of felt bad about that. But is what it is. So just so y'all know, and then Holtz will shut it down here. So what I tweeted, Ninja Theory tweeted out that, hey, we just went through our 200th playthrough of the game. and they had like this little this thing, and I said, well, when the game's as long as your promotional video for the game, I guess 200 playthroughs are possible. That's what I said. So that was it. That was
And
me and Purple.
You couldn't even do a speed run through the game. It's that slow.
You can't. The speed run is 20 minutes from the long playthrough.
Yeah.
Like that's... All right. But Holtz, all right. We gotta shut this one down. It's getting late. But Holtz, what's going on? You know, end it for us. Let us know what's going on, and then I'm gonna say my thing.
Oh, see, I'm just being enjoying movies. I've just pre-ordered. If you speak about mental health, I've just pre-ordered my Joker 2 tickets. So I'm looking forward to enjoying some upcoming movies. But we'll talk about that in a few weeks when it releases. So we've got some reviews of Mortal Kombat and Dragon Ball Z and the Joker and that to talk about. But that's in a few weeks. Not as of tonight.
Not right now, and I actually want to see that. So for me, y'all, like I said, I'm gonna be jumping a lot back into XDefiant, playing a little bit of Prince of Persia. Even though I already have Remnant 2 ready to go, I got the deluxe edition. I probably won't be jumping into that until sometime in October. And yeah. Thanks so much. I have a couple of interviews lined. Like next week's not I don't have an interview lined up next week, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get someone last minute if nothing happens in the gaming world. But yeah, other than that, I want to appreciate big news for the channel. So I do have the ability now to do super chats and memberships. I am debating to do a membership to where I may do stuff more like more frequently. It would be 99 cents. Y'all know I wouldn't do anything but anything crazy, but I am thinking about doing that also, where I would do like playthroughs of like more AAA games, not just the Fall Guys stuff. So I'm thinking about that also, probably because you saw this little kid Fast come into the channel earlier. We probably will do a Fall Guys tournament on Saturday. I just got to put it out there. We will probably do a Fall Guys tournament on Saturday. And then I will be finishing the Supermassive game probably Sunday. We'll see. I don't know how much more I have to go. But other than that, yeah. If y'all want to catch me, I'll be in y'all's chats as well as in XDefiant lobbies trying to get good, as they say. But with that, I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the plane. All right, thank you all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, ciao.